When Hank, I didn't have any money of my own. I looked in my purse and found I still had only 36 cents. I wouldn't even buy a press for Mama, much less Lou and Lucy and Caroline. I counted the money and put it back in my purse. There must be something on the place I could sell. The chickens belonged to, but I fed water. The 2 days I didn't have any clothes to make new clothes for Hank and me. Bangings at the front door. Could be knocking so loud. Oh, who could be knocking so loud on the front porch? Hank had gone up. I didn't know where, and I didn't know when he would be back. The curtains were closed in the front room, and so I couldn't even see out the window. Before I could to get to the Before I could get to the front door, it opened, and somebody said, "Anybody home?" "I'm home," I said. I said it stiff, for I didn't know who was coming in. It was a woman that entered the front room, followed by a man wearing a black hat. How do you do?" I said, "I can't bear it," the woman said, and buried her face in her handkerchief. I couldn't see too well with the light behind her. I didn't think I knew her, or the man either. "You all come on in," I said. It was the only thing to say. "Just give me a minute to get hold of myself," the woman said. "I'm Julie Richard," I said, and held out my hands. "I'm Caroline Glasscock," the woman said, "and this is my husband Bayless." She sobbed and put the handkerchief to her nose. "Is anything wrong?" I said. "I'll be all right in a minute," the woman said. "You all pull up a chair by the fire," I said. I threw another log on the fire. It had got chilly in the room as the fire died down. "Thank you, darling," she said, and wiped her eyes. I sat down with them before the fire, and the man held out his hands to the flame. I know I had to be neighborly, the way Mama would be. "It's cold out there today," I said. "Cold weather make this place even sadder," she said. "Cold weather is good for hog killing," I said. "Honey, you don't know who I am," the woman said. "I'm Mr. Pendergast's stepdaughter. I, I was awful sorry when he died," I said. "I didn't know until this week," she said, and cried again. Her husband didn't say anything. "Hank and me have took care of the house," I said. "Tell me how it happened," Caroline Glasgow said. She looked at the picture on the mantel and shook her head and dabbed at her eyes. "We were rendering lard when the kitchen caught fire," I said. "And he died in the fire," she said. "How awful." "He died later that night," I said. I didn't want to tell her no more than I had to. "After he got burned," the woman said. "He did get burned," I said. "On his face and head and hands. It was terrible." "Pappy and me didn't always gee-ho," Carolyn said, "but it broke my heart to hear how he died. I stayed up with him the night he died," I said. "We did what we could for him." "How long have you lived here?" she said, wiping her eyes. "We just moved here this fall," I said, "from up in North Carolina." "How long did Pappy suffer before he died?" she said. "Like I said, he died the night after he got burned," I said. "We ran after a doctor, but it didn't do no good." I felt bad to have tell I felt bad to have to tell her about that night, but there was nothing else I could do. I looked at the man. He sat in the front fire, turning his black hat in his hands. He was listening, but didn't say nothing. Carolyn stood up and lifted a picture from the mantel. "Wasn't Mama a pretty woman when she was young?" she said. "She was beautiful," I said. Caroline was a big woman. I guess she weighed about 200 pounds and was 40, maybe 45. "Did he tell you who this place belongs to?" Caroline said. "No, he never did." I said. "He belongs to me," she said. "How about your brother?" I said. "The one that lives out in California." Mr. Pendergast Patsy meant to leave the place to me. "I bet there was a will somewhere in this house that proves it." "I ain't found the will," I said. "Don't matter," she said. "Nobody's thinking of property at a time like this." "Could I get you all some coffee?" I said. "It upsets me so much to come back here." Carolyn said. "I don't think I could drink anything." "I'm so awfully sorry about what happened," I said. What started the fire? Carolyn said. I looked at her and then I looked away. I felt a wave of sickness inside like I was going to throw up. I had helped Mr. Pendergast kill his hog, I said, and we were rendering the lard. You helped to butcher the hog, Carolyn said. Was nobody else to do it? I said, Mr. Pendergast couldn't lift much. Word is he burned himself trying to save the house. Carolyn said, Peppy ever was a fool when he got stared. He got burned in the kitchen when the kerosene exploded, I said. But the house didn't burn down, she said. I got some wet sacks and put the fire out. I said, Bless you, honey, Kelly said. We owe you. There was a pause and the fire upped and wind like it was coming a rain or even snow. I didn't want to talk anymore about the fire. I knowed it would just make her sadder. I wondered if he was going to tell us we had to move out of the house. I think Peppy Pendergast had a lot of money hid away, she said. Where did he hide it? I said. I couldn't bring myself to admit I had given the jar of money away. I wasn't going to tell her that. I reckon he did it in different places. Carolyn said sometimes he had it in a shoebox in the closet and some money he had buried in the tobacco can in the backyard. I've known him to keep his money in an old leather shop pouch that hung in the attic. I never seen any of those, I said. And sometimes he kept in a fruit jar. He said, What kind of jar? I said, Why, a mason jar, honey, a half-gallon mason jar like you buy corn liquor in. She said, There is mason jars in the basement. I said, Would you all like to search the house? Honey, it don't matter, Kelly Glasscock said. I ain't searched the attic, I said, but I've cleaned the last of the rooms and washed all of Mr. Pendergast's clothes. Bless your heart, Kelvin said. You have tried to take care of all Mr. Pendergast's things, I said. Peppy was squirreler, as Kelvin said. He'd squirrel away just about anything. He could have left his money out in the smokehouse or the wood shed. He could have put it in the spring house or under the crushing in the barn. I felt a splash on my belly like a cramp was coming on. I wished they wasn't there. I could make some herb tea and rest. I felt like there were some big changes in my life about to happen. I wished Hank would come and talk to them about paying the rent on the house. Mr. Pendergast was here by himself for a long time, I said. I know he was, and I feel bad about it, Helen said. Fearless works in California, and that's where you have to live. It's too far to come up here more than about once or twice a year. We come when we could. How long does it take? I said. It is It's not just a train ride to Greenville. It's find a way to get from Greenville to Gap Creek. That is the trouble. You have to hire a carriage or a buggy or some such. It's an all day operation. So you growed up here on Gap Creek, I said. Only for a while, Carolyn said, but I have such happy memories of this house. Voice broke and she cried again. I hoped I didn't have to throw up while they was here. I didn't want to have I didn't want to have to turn my back on them and run away and puke. I was embarrassed enough as it was. I felt sorry for her and I was scared she would find out I had given away the money. How much rent are you all paying? Carolyn said, and below the house. I don't know, I said. You don't know, she said, because I kept the house and cooked for Mr. Pendergast, I said. You mean you was the housekeeper? Hank, my husband, made an arrangement with Mr. Pendergast for us to live here, I said. I had never known exactly what the arrangement was. There was a wrenching in my belly, and I felt something push like a fist right up in my throat. The sour taste reached the back of my mouth before I could stop it. I stood up and put my hand over my mouth and started running toward the kitchen. Are you all right, honey? Caroline Glasgow called after me. As I ran into the dark kitchen, I tried to think what I could throw up in. There was a slop bucket behind the stove, but it would take too long to find it and get it out in the open. There was the dish pan, but if I used that, I had to wash it out. The kitchen still smelled like the baked turkey, and that made me even sicker. I ran out the back door and down the porch step. At the corner of the porch, I bent over and retched so hard it felt like my tailbone was coming up through my belly. I heaved like I was trying to get rid of everything I hadn't ever eaten. I heaved like I was trying to turn myself inside out. When I quit having, I was so weak. I had to hold on to the post on the porch. I was wet with sweat. It felt like I was just being born. Are you alright? Caroline Glasgow said she had come out on the back porch and her husband, Bill, stood in the doorway behind her. I must have eaten something, I said. You must have been poisoned, Caroline said. I was so stiff and weak I had to walk straight to the steps and up the steps. I was sore inside, like every muscle in my and belly had been strained. I hobbled up the steps one at a time. You be careful, girl, Jolene said. They followed me back to the living room where I stood by the fireplace trying to catch my breath. I felt clean and steady but weak. How much do you want to charge for rent? I said. I'd rather sell the place than rent it. Kelvin said. We already have a house in Columbia. I don't reckon we can afford to buy a house yet, I said. Leasing is better than renting, Kelvin said. I don't think we got much money, I said. We need to find somebody to buy the house. Kelvin said, much as I hate to sell Pepe's place, I know it has to be done. Ken came in the front door. He looked cold, like he had walked a long way, cold and tired. I was so relieved he had come back. I could have cried. This is Caroline Glasgow, I said to him, and her husband Bayless. She's Mr. Pendergast's stepdaughter. Pleased to meet you, Kelvin said. I do, Hank said, and took off his no coat. He stretched out his hand to the fire. Mrs. Glasgow say we might able to rent the house. I said it seemed polite to mention both of them, though Kelvin had done all the talking. We'd like to sell the place, Kelvin said. Violet and me don't have any use for it. What are you asking? Hank said. We want to be reasonable, Kelvin said. We just want to get a decent price for the place, don't we? Bayless heard one nodded and didn't say anything. I ain't got a lot of money, he said. This place will pay for itself in a short time. Pelton said. Pepe raised a ton of hogs and sold the hams down in Greenville. He raised everything here, corns and sorghums and cotton. Ain't seen no sign of cotton, he said. It's been a while since he raised cotton. Carolyn said he got too old and feeble to raise cotton after Mama died. I thought this was above the cotton line, I said. Thought they never did grow cotton north of Travelers West. Carol looked at Hank and wiped her eyes. Peppy knowed how to do it, she said. It would grow here on the valley floor, protected by the mountains. The fire popped, and I heard the wagon rattle by outside. My side was sore from all the throwing up, and there was a sour taste at the back of my mouth. I needed a drink of cold water to freshen my mouth and clean my throat, but my belly felt cool inside, almost cold. I was glad it was settling. Mr. Pendergast let us stay. Mr. Pendergast let us stay here, cause Julie kept her house for him and cooked his meal. Hank said, we need to sell the place, Kelvin said. Much as we'd like to for you to stay on, but you might rent the house to us, I said. It's prepared to sell, Kelvin said, and we could use the money. Just last summer, I had the operation we are still paying for. How do I know you all are who you say you are? Hank said. Who else could we be? Kelvin said. She opened her mouth and took out the card. Hank looked at the card and then handed it to me. Mr. and Mrs. Bellis Glasgow, he said on the card, and gave an address in Colombia. I just wanted to be sure. Hank said. I don't blame you. The way people are these days. Kelvin said. How much would you rent it for? Hank said. We could only rent it till we found a buyer. Kelvin said. If we could afford to, we'd like to stay here, Hank said, at least till the baby's born. I thought you might be going to have a baby, Kelvin said, and smiled at me. When is it due? Around May or June, I said. You need to sell, Kelvin said, but you all look like decent people. She looked around at her husband and back at me. Maybe you could stay here till after the baby is born. How much rent would you charge? Hank said, I ain't got a lot of money. Did you say we are a carpenter? Carolyn said, I do carpentry and masonry. Hank said, maybe in the spring we could hire you to fix up the place. Carolyn said, to get it ready to sell. I can do any kind of work, Hank said. How much could you pay now? Carolyn said, you want to be reasonable. I ain't got but $5 to my name, Hank said. He reached into his pocket and took out $5 silver. I reckon that's all he had left from working at the mill in Eton. The coins sparkled in the firelight as he held them in his outstretched palm. And you got something you could pawn? Helen said. All I got is my tools, Hank said, and I have to keep them if I go back to work this winter. I've got a necklace and brooch Mama gave me, I said. I couldn't take your brooch, Kelvin said. It's got gold around the edges, I said, like a little picture frame. I got the brooch and necklace from the bedroom and showed them to her. They're worth about $5, she said. She held on to the jewelry. I tried to think of something else that could be sold. Mama had given me an alarm clock. It was only worth $1 or $2, but even when it was new. Tell you what we would do, Colin said. Give us the $5 and necklaces and brooch as a kind of down payment, and we will give you a receipt. Then the rest you can work out by fixing up this house. That should be good enough, don't you think, Bayless? This is mighty understanding of you. It's hard to sell a house in the winter time anyway, Galen said. Obliged to you, I said. You all helped take care of Pappy, Galen said. I'd like to know a young couple was getting some good out of this place. Besides, it needs some fixing up. We will take good care of it, Hank said. Come back in March to talk about the repairs, Caroline said, and to buy what materials you need. I couldn't believe what was happening, that we were renting the place and we would have somewhere to live until after the baby was born. Don't you all want to stay the night? I said. It's getting late and there's plenty of room. Honey, we've got to get back on the road, Kellen said. Got to go back to Greenville to catch the train to Columbia. Bayless has to work tomorrow. You can at least stay for supper, I said. We have plenty of turkey left. That's sweet of you, Colin said, but really do have to be on our way. And this place makes me sad. I have too many memories here. She opened her bag and looked inside and then closed it. I will mail you a receipt for the $5 and the jewelry. She said, you don't have to do that, I said. Business is business, Kelvin said. I believe in doing things right and proper. I was so thrilled. My head was buzzing. You all should stay the night, I said. We are much obliged for your invitation, Kelvin said. But there are a few things in the house we should take. They belong to Mama and they have some sentimental value. You take whatever you want, Hank said. It had been a while since I had seen him so cheerful. I will just get a few of Mama's things, Carolyn said. She took the clock off the mantel and handed it to her husband. Then she went into the kitchen and gathered a lot of silver from the drawer into her big handbag. There was a little silver cream pitcher on the table and she took that too. Is there anything you can find? I said. I could understand why she would want her mama's thing. Caroline took a lamp into the front bedroom and looked through all the drawer and of the bureau. She got some jewelry and a comb and brush set. Bayless come back in and carried another load out to the carriage. There was a mirror on the bedroom wall and Caroline took it down. She got Mr. Pendergast's rifle out of the closet and revolver she found in the drawer. She looked in the attic but didn't find anything she wanted to take. You all come back and see us, Hank said as they climbed into the carriage. We love to come back to the mountains in the summertime, Kellen said. We'll come back and have a picnic by the creek. You all come back anytime, I said. We'll see you along about March, she said, as Bayless drove them away, and I will send you a receipt for the rent.